Okay. Had an idea. Haven't done one of these in a while. And I got my face on camera just in case anybody hasn't seen me in a while. But I also, whatever. You got to look at my face a little bit in the corner. It just makes it a little better than just looking at a screen. Yeah, I'm gonna go through the Masterball teams. I'll probably do Ultra Ball as well. I'm going to be a little bit more critical of the Masterball teams just because, yeah, if you're Masterball, you got to draft good teams. And if you don't, you're going to hear about it from me and some others. But there are also a lot of teams that I like a lot as well. So yeah, I'm going to be going over some of them, some obvious things about the team, maybe some sneaky things about the team. Just kind of go through all the teams. I'll try to do it quick because I don't want this to be a super long video. I think I'll timestamp all the teams as well. So if you just want to go to your team and just to see if I talked bad things about your team. But, I'll say good things and bad things as well. Kind of see what I thought you were going for. If maybe you had to change your plan a little bit or whatever it is. I'll just kind of give my thought. I'm just going to talk. So, because everybody wants to hear me talk, obviously. So I'm just going to go in the draft order just because that's just the way I had it on this anyway. So we'll start with my team. Obviously, I'm well aware of what I was going for, so I'll kind of give away what I was going for in a lot of the cases so you can kind of see synergy. And if you're watching and you're like, I don't get it, maybe the explanation kind of goes, oh, yeah, I guess I didn't really see that before. So it might actually kind of give you a little bit of insight towards value in things you didn't really see, and oh wait, I have something that does that, or something along those lines. So without further ado, Ogerpon Hearthflame was picked first overall. When you rig the draft and go first, it just makes it really easy to pick kind of whatever you want. So I like first overall, so I rig it every season to get first overall, obviously. Wink wink, nudge nudge. Thank you, Harambe, for my first overall pick, and if you know, you know. Let me make sure my face at least gets in the shot of some kind. So Ogerpon Hearthflame, it's a nuke. It's fast. Need I say more? The follow me's nice as well. So the utility as well, it had, surprisingly enough, it doesn't get Will-O-Wisp. I was a little surprised. But other than that, Ogerpon just hits so hard. The grass fire type's just really, really good naturally. And if you just go for hard fire plus a Terra, you get your +1. And then you just hit really, really, really hard. So when I was building the draft plan, it was more like, how do I enable that? So Sandy Shocks was really, really good for that as well. Because if it's in the back row, it switches in on Ogerpon's poison weakness. It switches in on the rock weakness. And what's the other one? Flying. Yeah, it switches on a flying as well. So it's literally a perfect switch in for Ogerpon and all of its super effective hits. It's a defensive Pokemon rather than a special defensive Pokemon. So it switches in on physical moves and things like that. It also enables the Ogerpon as well with some speed control and also Screech as well. So this thing can just hit really, really, really hard. It'll probably pick up some Okos into resisted hits with a Screech, even pre-Terra. So Ivy Cudgel's just broken. Whoever thought this was a good idea, Game Freak, stop. So Sandy Shock's Ogerpon was really important as well. And Primarina was next. I went for that third just because it hits a lot different than the others. Fairy and Water was really nice for the Ogerpon as well because what do you usually do to get around Ogerpon? You Terra Fire because the Ivy Cudgel and the Power Whip or whatever, Woodhammer, whatever it is. What takes those really well? Dragon and also Fire types. So what hits both of those? Primarina. So anyway, it just makes you have to think about what Terra type to go, and this just makes you question it. So that's kind of how I built the team. I have to have a good Trick Room mode as well. I figure Gothitelle, if I lock you in and you can't switch in an Intimidate, you can't switch to avoid the +1 Ivy Cudgel, it could be really painful. So I came up with that, and I was humming back and forth when it came to what was I going to pick with my tier 1? It was like Thundurus, and there were a couple other options as well. Like Chiempow's still sitting there, so that was tough to ignore. But yeah, Gothitelle locking you in so you can't switch away from an Ogerpon just Onslaught could be like if you lead wrong, you can't. Yeah, you better lead your Intimidate user pretty much because if you're locked in with this and you don't have something good to take hits, it's going to be tough. So that was the understanding. And also, if you do want to Intimidate, competitive is also an option. So getting a +2 Gothitelle turn 1, game 1 is pretty tough to deal with as well. So it gives them something to think about. I have to have a Trick Room mode as well. So Gothitelle having Fake Out and Trick Room is really nice. The abilities we went over. Frisk is also good as well. But also Slowking and Mudsdale was kind of what I wanted for the Trick Room mode, and Primarina is just kind of on the faster side. So it does work in Trick Room, but it's not going to underspeed your Amoonguss and your, like, for example, Octo got Glastrier and stuff like it's not going to underspeed those things, even like Torkoal too. So it's just not going to underspeed those. So in the right matchup, it's a good Trick Room one. But Mudsdale, Slowking, you got the Side Swagger, you've got the Curious Medicine. If you do lower its stats or something like that, I could just reset them, even though I have 2 abilities that stop Intimidate. So there's that. Weavile just for fast Fake Out and good support. Snarl, Icy Wind, Faint, things like that. It's just a menace, and 125 attack is just really strong. 120, my bad. Weavile is a little weaker than that, but it's still good. Rampardos, damage. Now that's a lot of damage. I can just hear Octo saying it right now. Apparently I found out that Rampardos literally has the most damaging move in the game, pre-item and pre-help, and like, yeah, it doesn't need help from abilities, doesn't need help from partners, like Helping Hand, all that stuff. What's it called? A Head Smash from this thing. It's the most amount of damage you can do in a single turn from a single Pokemon. And the next one is Overheat Chiyu, and this actually beats it. So this does more damage than that, so which is insane. But it's just so... Anyway, so Rampardos is just really strong. Orthworm was a throw-in. It's just a really nice piece to have. And then Dodrio, so I can have some Tailwind and just something that can hit with flying moves because they're really good. And gives me a Pseudo-Sun team with the Vulpix as well. So, and if you know, you've got Weather Ball Primarina. Primarina is weak to water, so it weakens the water moves with the Sun. Sandy Shocks with the Photosynthesis, and also boosting the already dangerous Ivy Cudgel with the Ogerpon. So that's basically my team. I kind of wanted to go through my team quickly and not hold anything back because I don't want to talk about everyone else's team and just be like, oh, this is all the stuff this team can do. Everybody be aware, and not reveal anything on mine. So that's pretty much oh yeah, Gravity Hypnosis too. Sandy Shocks and Gothitelle. So yeah, the gravity stuff is really cool as well. So there's a Paris Trap as well, Gothitelle Primarina. What else? Beat up into Mudsdale with the Weavile. I've got Surf as well for weakness policy potential if you played Gen 8. With Dynamax, that's still a thing. Not as good, but it's still good. So there's a lot of different ways I can play this team. So I was very happy with how it turned out. Next team. Fabulous Ursalunas. What did I have to say about this team? So one of the cool things I noticed midway through the draft, and I talked to Octo a lot about kind of how teams are looking and stuff. I had Staraptor last season, and it was my Tailwind setter. The fact that he got Latios on this team, which is in my opinion the best tier 2 in the tier, just because it's value. It's hit so hard. Its support is really good, and it's bulky enough. So I really like the Latios pick. I think me and him were talking a bit before the draft of possibly digging into tier 2 first, get the best value, and then I guess you settle for Ursaluna, whatever, right? Tier 2, round 2, you just kind of be like, what's okay? I guess Ursaluna. This thing hits so freaking hard. It was first overall last season on Octo's team, so clearly it's very good. So what I was getting at was Latios being a really good Tailwind setter. Staraptor isn't relied upon to set Tailwind. On my team it was, and it's an okay Tailwind setter, but it's pretty frail. It's fast enough. 100's pretty good, but yeah, it's just, it can set it, but the fact that you don't have to set Tailwind with it, Latios can set it for it. And Staraptor can do something like Reckless or Choice Band, or you can do your Final Gambit stuff if you want to. You're not relying on setting Tailwind with that. You can set with a partner. I think it's really nice. And also Staraptor is really, like Brave Bird, 120 power move with that attack stat, 120. That's really freaking strong. So, and also Flying is a great offensive type. So the fact that Staraptor hits, Flying, Fighting. So you have Brave Bird and Close Combat, which it both gets. I think it hits everything. I'm trying to think what it doesn't hit. I think it hits everything super effectively, or everything at least neutrally. Yes, because Electric steel. What else? Rock. Yeah. So yeah, the fire. The flying fighting. It's just so good as a dual typing offensively. So Staraptor's really good on the offense rather than support, even though it does that pretty well with like Struggle Bug, Tailwind, Final Gambit. Very good. Iron Valiant, talking about support, is, yeah, this thing, I made a statement when the game first came out saying Valiant is going to be the best Draft League Pokemon ever. If you just look at this move pool, it's just stupid. Like, just give me 1 second and then I'll move on to another team. Where is it? Reg F. Iron, Valiant. So let's just look at the support. We've got coaching, which, by the way, Quark Drive, Booster Energy coaching. Yeah, look out. You've got Helping Hand. You've got Icy Wind, Knockoff. You've got Skill Swap I can't use, which is hilarious. Taunt is really nice. Trick. Wide Guard is kind of sneaky good. Also a little dangerous. You could do Feint, which is amazing. You can do Quick Guard as well. Vacuum Wave. And it even sets Trick Room. Does it get Imprison? Yes. So you can even Imprison Trick Room with this thing. And not to mention 130, 120. This thing is incredible. So offense, support, however you want to run it, this thing is really good. So very good choice. I know he wanted that and grabbed it later because nobody appreciates it like us. It got my Morpeko, so I'm really happy. Another fake out user. It has what, one? Yeah, one fake out user on the team and it's Morpeko. So that might hurt a bit if you need it 1 week and you kind of, like, Morpeko's good, but it is a tier 4 for a reason. So if you have to rely on the fake out from a tier 4, it might hurt a little bit. 97 speed's pretty good. It's a faster fake out than a lot. Upper Hand is now a thing this season, so I'm interested to kind of see how it kind of affects the fake out in the regular season. You don't see it a lot in draft. I mean, in VGC, you see sometimes, like when it comes to like defensively doing it. But I am curious. I think it's +3 priority or +4. It stops fake out. That's all I know, and it makes you flinch. So Morpeko, yeah. So if that's your only fake out user, the fact that there's now a counter, you got Covert Cloak this season or this gen, you've got Terra Ghost stops it, and you have Upper Hand now. Fake out is not what it used to be. So I'm curious to see how many people run Upper Hand this season. It's the first time we've had it, and a lot of Pokemon get it. So we'll see how it goes. Chestnut, win condition on its own, Iron Defense, Leech Seed, Body Press, Stab Body Press, which is really good. So this hits so hard. And speaking of Iron Defense, Body Press, Slowbro also does it. Can't be taunted, so it's a really good way of getting Trick Room up. I don't think he has the best Trick Room mode. I think he's got Ursaluna. Aside from that, Slowbro does okay. So I think, like if you ignore it, you're in a little bit of trouble. Ursaluna, Chandelure works in Trick Room. Bisharp also works in Trick Room, middle speed tier. And Wigglytuff, let's not forget about Wigglytuff. It needs a little bit of help on the offensive side, but its speed tier is really good. So, yeah, I think the fast mode's really strong for Fabulous Ursalunas, and the slow mode's pretty good as well. So I think this thing could just kind of go off. If I don't stop her now, she will not stop. So I'm going to just grab my cat really quick. 1 sec. If you waited, you're real. If you skip to the timestamp, you're not my friend. No, you're cool. So moving on to the next team. So I would give, I don't know, should I rate the team? I can't rank them because I'll forget, but, like honestly, the team alone, forget the player, forget, in-game decisions and schedules and stuff like that. I think this team could win. I think it has offense. It depends how he plays it, but I would say like, this is a playoff team. I think this is a good enough team to make the playoffs. It depends. It really depends. Like I think that like you can deter your Intimidate stuff on your Valiant and your Ursaluna with your Bisharp and your Wigglytuff. So gives your opponent something to think about it. So I think it's a good team. I don't think this is a bad team at all. There are some bad teams, and I'll probably say I don't think it's a very good team. But yeah, this is a good team. Pretty well balanced. The speed tiers, you got your high end, your low end. You got your priority for both. A little bit of redirection in this entrant. I don't know how good it is. It might be enough to get off a belly drum, but who knows? Frisk, double frisk is nice too. But no, it's a good team. But let's move on to the next one. How are we doing? 15 minutes? God, 2 teams. Oops. Great Marsh. I love this team. I think this team is awesome. Yep, that's it. That's all I'm going for. Comfey's back. That's one thing. I remember he talked to me before the draft saying he wanted Comfey Registeel, and I was like, well, don't play me in the playoffs. I actually have to face him in week 8, so that's not going to be fun. Hopefully my season's not on the line, or his, and because we always have really good matches, me and him. So look how tiny Registeel is. Look at this picture. How was Rillaboom so much bigger than Registeel? This thing's massive. But anyway, Comfey having the triage ability makes Floral Healing just... Registeel does not want to die. It's just so bulky. Yep. That's pretty much it. Registeel does what it does. Yeah, it sticks around. You ignore it, it's just going to set up. Maybe Haze is the way to stop it, but again, with Comfey, it sets Trick Room, it can heal it, and also the priority as well. You can even do something like Weakness Policy if you do a right Terra. I'm not a huge fan of Terra into a specific type for the damage to be super effective and give you Weakness Policy. Not a huge fan of that. Like, a lot of people do Terra Ghost and Sucker Punch or whatever, but I think your Terra dependent on your item activation is... I'm not a huge fan of it. But Registeel, you have to hit super effectively if you want to kill it. So Weakness Policy just without any proc, like side proc, is pretty good. And the fact that you have it as an option. So say if you go like Terra Water, Registeel, or something like that to stop the fire, you could always do Giga Drain Comfey and then activate the Weakness Policy, and then you heal it up the next turn. So that's another option as well. Rillaboom, I think, is really nice with Comfey as well because you can do the triage stuff to keep it alive. You have the residual grassy terrain healing as well, which also helps the Registeel, so that's going to be really annoying. But also, Comfey has the Flower Veil as well, which means that you can't lower a stat or a status, inflict a status effect on the Rillaboom as well. So I think it's really good. I think Comfey is perfect on this team. Azelf, probably the best tier 3 in the game that we had in the draft. Very, very strong, very fast, hits on both sides, physical and special, and it's just very fast. A lot of utility as well. A lot of utility. And let's not forget the fact that it has Mystic Power. 125 special attack with a 70 power stab move that gives you a +1 the next turn guaranteed if it hits. Again, don't know who thought that was a good idea. I faced a Uxie once, and it had this move, and this thing was really annoying. Imagine... It needed a couple of boosts to do some damage. This thing gets 1, it's OHKOing things. Like, if you were just run D-Gleam and Mystic Power, this thing is just going off, and now you have your support and your protect. Like, yeah, just whatever. Lycanroc Dusk, this thing does more damage than you think. I know Octo loves this Pokemon. I don't know if it's basically a weekly Focus Sash user. I don't see a ton of Focus Sash on this team. So I don't mind it. Like, you might be running Focus Sash on Urshifu. Not really. Probably the dark one, yeah. Pelipper, yeah, I can see it. Venomoth, yeah, I can see it. But that's pretty much it. Like, Azelf, probably, maybe? Like, it's not super, it's pretty frail. So yeah, Focus Sash, on this team, going to Azelf, Lycanroc, and potentially Pelipper. Yeah, I think Lycanroc's a good fit, too, and Rock is a great offensive type as well. So, yeah, I like it. Tough Claws just adds a lot of damage to a lot of its moves, so that's good. Ampharos, we'll have to see. Clearly, quick analysis of the team. It just, yeah, I could probably see, Dragon Cheer. I think it does get, let me see. Let's go Ampharos. Oh, does it get Dragon Cheer? I think it does. Yep, that's probably why. Okay, everybody, be ready for it. And it's also super bulky. And Electric's a great offensive type as well. So, and defensively, it's only got 1 weakness. So, So I can also see that as well. Like Comfey in the front row supporting the Registeel. It's about to take like a heavy slam. Ampharos switches in. Awesome. I think that's pretty cool as well. Houndoom, decent fire type. I think it's tier 4, so really good value. Flash Fire, Terra Grass is fantastic. And then Urshifu, I say no more with the rain. Like I think that's just a nice mode that he wasn't planning to have. Venomoth, redirection, very nice, and also just a pain in the ass. Piloswine is just a great ground type. I think people that have drafted have done well. And the Eviolite just makes it really bulky, and the thick fat with the ice type is just really good. And the ground. So, ice ground doesn't usually resist ice, but with thick fat it will. And also the fire weakness, it's now neutral as well. So a very, very well-rounded team. I think this is actually one of my favorite teams. Aside from mine, of course. I think my team's the best team of all time. But no, I think this team is incredible. It's got both ends of the spectrum. You got slow mode, fast mode. Comfey is a good way to get it up. It's really bulky. And while it's in it with the priority from triage, it works really, really well in Trick Room. Setting it might not be the best, but a fairy type Trick Room setter, any Trick Room setter that's not weak to Dark and Ghost, I think because I'd say 90% of them are. So I always say like normal type Trick Room setter, fairy type Trick Room setter. I think there's one fire type. I'll let you figure it out. No, but I think those are just really good Trick Room setters as well. So, and it's bulky enough to do it. Okay, but yeah, A+. Sure. Let's. I'm gonna rate every team with a different rating system. This one is A+, like grade school. The last one was just. I think it's a good team. The next one will be like 7 thumbs up or something. The next one will be like 5 stars or whatever. So it'll be fun. No, I think this is an incredible team. Look out for it. Okay. Ursaluna Mold Breakers. I feel like this team had a great start, and I do like some pieces on this team. There are a couple things I don't get. So like, and I'll let the matches do the talking and stuff like that. And obviously not everyone's going to agree with me, whatever. Like free speech, I got a platform, turn the video off if you don't want to watch it. So Rob, I love Rob. I'm really glad he's in the league now. He finished second. Yeah, he lost to Linty in Ultra Ball, but earned his promotion to Masterball this season and drafted an interesting team. So he started with Ursaluna, Farigiraf first, sniped a couple people, Riley, and then Ursaluna Blood Moon. Very, very strong Tricker mode right off the bat. And then he grabbed Tornadus. And I remember in a couple regionals, Tailwind Tornadus and a faster Blood Moon Ursaluna was very strong. So I was like, yes, very, very good. First 3 picks, now you have both sides of the spectrum, fast, slow, sweepers. I had Farigiraf last season, so no fake out. I'm loving this team so far. As the draft went on, I like the Magmar pick. The PZ is really nice as well. The Thwackey, okay, sure. Grass type, cheap. Grassy terrain, residual, healing, why not? Scrafty sniped me, actually, at one point, so I like the Scrafty as well. Ursaring's just good, but I think might be a little unnecessary because now you got 4 fighting weaknesses on this team with Empoleon as well. Empoleon's interesting because you want to Snarl this team, so I don't mind it because you have Defiant, competitive on this team. So Snarl goes really well into this team. Doesn't make contact with the Magmar to get you burned. So I don't mind it. The PZ just hits so hard at 135. This is the strongest tied for first when it comes to special attack. So Snarl does go really well into this team. So the Empoleon, I guess, yeah. But this isn't the most icy windable team. Not really. Breaking Swipe, no. Like he's got how many physical attackers? 1? 2 if you include Tornadus. Unlikely you're running physical Tornadus. There are some scenarios. I can see like Acrobatics with the Grassy Surge, the Grassy Seed activation. So that could be pretty strong as well. Stab. And then the Ursaring as well. So I think this team is decent. I do see redirection when it comes to the Magmar and the Venonat. So the fighting weakness isn't the end of the world. Yes, there are a lot of really key pieces. I see 5 that are weak to fighting, and there are a lot of really good pieces. Scrafty, Ursaluna, Empoleon, Porygon Z, Ursaring. They're all hard-hitting Pokemon on his team where most of his offense comes from. And you just use a close combat. But Magmar with Follow Me close combat at your own risk. So Flame Body, you close combat this thing with Eviolite. A, you're not killing it because Eviolite's going to keep it alive. And B, you're going to get burned. So now you're taking the defense drops from close combat and you're burned, so your future damage is lower. So I love the Magmar on a team that has a lot of weaknesses that are fighting. And not many people are running Focus Blast or Aura Sphere, so you're probably safe to assume that a fighting move is going to be physical. So I like the Magmar a lot. It might have been a happy accident. If he did plan it, I think that's really good planning. Very, very good team design as well. But yeah, the Venonat's nice too because you also have your Rage Powder and you have a quad resist. So if you just want to take less damage instead of burn and draw in the burns, now you're just taking no damage. Eviolite, Venonat, Rage Powder, Sleep Powder. Like this team's going to be a pain to face. I just think that there are some stronger teams. Like this team you don't have to really worry about its physical offense. Not really. Like Scrafty, okay, if you get hit with a close combat, it's going to do some damage because it's stab. But it's not really hitting super hard. Thwackey, aside from Choice Band and Grass moves, is not really hitting super hard. Ursaring needs a little bit of help with either speed control or the Guts boost or just hitting super hard with its naturally high attack. But, well, first of all, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Eviolite users on the same team. We're fighting for items now. So I think this team could be better. I think this team, I see what he was going for. I kind of told a lot. Like, I'm not going to say what Ursaluna Blood Moon does. Everybody freaking knows. For a Giraffe, I'm not going to talk about Fake Out because everybody knows. Tornadus is pretty well protected with for a Giraffe. So it's a very fake outable Pokemon in Tornadus. So I do think that this team was built with a concept. I think that you can make a couple of lateral moves to improve the team. But yeah, not bad. Like 3.5 stars out of 5. You know, it's not bad. You know, I'd probably out of the 1, 2, 3 out of the 4 teams we've done so far, I'd probably say this is the worst out of the 4. But there are other teams. But we've only done 4, so this could be the 4th best team. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Sorry, Rob, but you have a good team. I think this works. But I also think there are a couple ways to improve the team as well. But I do see what you're going for. So very cool. Hunting Owls, Gen A. I'm not even gonna try. Break the 4th wall and go right at the camera. I don't know. Every time I look at Gen A's team, I'm just like, this team isn't very good, blah, 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 over the seasons, and I'm not really sure what it does, and I don't see the synergy, blah, blah, blah. And she wins the championship. So, little old me making a video over here. So, Raging Bolt is one of the most used Pokemon in VGC right now. Araquanid is just, she's used it before. It has done really well. The King Gambit, I've had it. Very, very good. So, I think there's a lot of good Pokemon on this team. The Charizard, sure. Someone else drafted Pikachu just cuz. So who knows? I think Charizard can be good. It doesn't get the utility like Dragon Cheer again, so I can see that being a thing as well, boosting the critical rate by 2 when it comes to the Dragon type. So Raging Bolt being her #1 pick, I can see something like that. Gliscor, Tailwind, bulky. I like it. Electrode, very fast E-Web, gets it back finally. And also Eerie Impulse is just a pain. So, decent way of setting Trick Room up. I like Misdreavus. Any ghost type that sets up Trick Room that's bulky. You basically taunt it. That's pretty much the only way you stop it. Weird Ear, a very good Trick Room setter as well. I do think she has a lot of pieces on here. The Florges, the Symbiosis next to the Photosynthesis is really nice as well. I see a lot of things. But that's a lot of things. But I'm not even going to begin to kind of see how she's going to play this. I think we're going to see how it's played as the season plays out. So I'm just going to let that happen. But the type chart looks nice, if that means anything. I know a lot of people put a lot of stock into type chart. I just don't. Like, if you kind of just go by, like, sometimes what I like to do is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, King Gambit there. So let's just delete her lower Pokemon for a second. Yeah, tiers 1s, 2s, and 3s. Now look at the type chart. That's kind of really what, because this is your highest Pokemon. Your highest tier Pokemon are probably coming most weeks, probably. Like there are some cases where, well, even look at the stat spread here. It's really high, so very, very good. But yeah, like but when it comes to like the type chart and stuff like that, you don't want to have a lot of the same weaknesses on your best because they're going to come most weeks. So, oh, I went too far. Let's go forward again. Sure, Haunting Owls. Yeah, I think her top is kind of spread out, so I kind of like it. There's a lot of pieces on here. Don't know how they work together. Not even going to try. Let's give this one a platinum star because she's the current champion and I can't say anything. Cool. Next team. Dallas Dachsbuns. Okay, so... Okay, what did I have to say about this team earlier? So obviously you have your Psy Spam. Like that's just silly of me to just be like, oh, you have Psy Spam, and then you've got Shell Smash, and you've got Fake Out, and you've got the Garganacl stuff. It's like those are just obvious things. You guys already know about all that stuff. I really liked the Jugulus pick. When the Psy Spam was established, the Armarouge and DD Armarouge being dropped to tier 2 for the first time. So the value there is just incredible. I looked at this thing aside from Psy Spam. It gets a lot of stuff. Like it gets like Aura Sphere and things like that. It gets like a bunch of really good offense and support as well. And also Flash Fire is just incredible. I don't know if Iron Hands is great on this specific team. Like Iron Hands loves to fake out, pivot, switch back in, fake out, pivot, switch back in. When you have your own Psychic Terrain, it's almost like you're working against it. So could it work? Yes. I don't think it's bad. And Psychic Terrain isn't going to be up all the time. But I had Indeedee with a Whimsicott once. It was a little difficult. Yes, Whimsicott works a little bit differently in a sense of priority than Iron Hands does. But Iron Hands loves to switch in and switch out. And fake out users love to fake out on the switch in. So I think Iron Hands being the kill leader in both divisions last season, I'm sure it's going to do great again. The Iron Hands and the Psy Spam is just, I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays. I know that it's Quick's first season back. I think he won actually a championship in another league. And then I just baited him into coming back saying like other leagues aren't us. And he's like, yeah, I guess you're right. So he wants to win here. I don't know why, but maybe people just want to win here because I don't know. I'll let you guys figure that out. But I do like some parts of this team. I know the Garganacl, I will publicly apologize, actually, by the way. He picked Rabombi, and it wasn't showing on the doc that it was picked. And I was just like, for lack of better words, I basically said, you idiot, check the damn doc. And apparently my doc was broken. And it did show that it was available, even though it was picked. So my bad. But Shadow did pick that one earlier in the draft. And because I think 3 or 4 picks went by and he's just like, well, I would have picked this. I'm like, well, it's not really fair that you get to pick something that someone else picked right after you and then they have to replace their pick. So I was just like, dude, just do me a favor and thank you for just falling in and just being like, all right, yeah, I'll just kind of pick Garganacl. So I think Garganacl works on this team because setting Trick Room on this team is nice. It's a win condition. So is Torterra, so is Armarouge, so is Iron Hands. Goodra, now it gets Acid Armor, actually. So, yeah, Goodra getting Acid Armor and Body Press. I think this thing could do really, really well. It was actually on my draft list as well. And then Tinkaton just bonk. You know, the bonk, Riley. Yeah, everybody loved the Spidoff's pick. It hasn't really done so well, but... yeah, I think it's great. Cryogonal's a really good tier 5 as well. So fast Icy Wind and a special wall as well. I think it's 135. Yeah, look at the special defense. And the HP is respectable. 80? Damn. It's not bad at all. And a ground immunity. Okay, this thing is good. I don't know why people don't use this. So anyway, very good pick there. Barraskewda gets around the redirection and it just kind of hits hard, but a glass cannon. So it's probably your Focus Sash user most weeks. But I also don't see that he's fighting for a Focus Sash on this team. Barraskewda, Cryogonal, I don't think you're Focus Sashing your Spidops. You might, maybe Indeedee in certain weeks and stuff like that, say you're facing an Urshifu single strike, which wasn't drafted, but say you are, I think Focus Sash on Indeedee does make sense in some cases. So, but again, I don't think they're fighting for the same item across the board. So, I do like the Bearskewda on this team. Hits really hard. Wish it got Wave Crash. Really, really wish it got Wave Crash. But that attack stat, that speed, the fact that you can run Adamant and still outspeed a lot of stuff, it really makes this 123 a lot higher than we think it is. So I think Swift Swim is really nice. Propeller Tail is probably the way you're going to go. But also if somebody decides to go Rain, then you got a little bit of hydration and stuff like that with the Goodra. Yeah, I don't mind. This team is okay. My only thing about this team is, what is your fast sweeper? This team really wants to go Trick Room. Really, really, really wants to go Trick Room. And yes, you could do Tinkaton with its, the Gigaton Hammer, and then you got Tailwind with Jugulus, but you're setting Tailwind with your Jugulus for what? The Goodra, I guess. But 110 is not much to write home about. 100 on the physical side isn't much to write home about. So I don't know if Tailwind super helps this team. So Jugulus is a nice piece. I think if you, I'm not saying drop the Goodra or whatever, but if you drop the Tinkaton, for example, or the Goodra, and the reason I'm saying that tier specifically is because that is an impactful tier. Tier 2, 3, and 1, 2, and 3. Those are really impactful tiers. Tier 4 could if it's a nice piece. But if you got a faster, something like 90 and above, something that would really love the Tailwind, that just hits so hard, like 125, 130 on the offense, that Jugulus next to that, that's a mode. And now you have to respect the fast and the slow and the setup from the Torterra Garganacl and the E-Force and the Iron Hands. I think this team is one move away from being ridiculous. I don't know if it's Tinkaton or Goodra. I think you could probably lose the Tinkaton. Probably. Or the Goodra, depending on what you want to do. I like Goodra, though, so I would say maybe the Tinkaton can go. But that would be my recommendation. Quick's probably going to hate me, but I don't care. Fix your team, bro. No, but I think this team is one pick away or one transaction away. Faster side, physical sweeper, I think maybe even 85. 85 speed and up that hits like a truck. This team is now very scary. Because now what do you plan for? Look at the stat spread. 89, 88, 86, 82, 94, 78. That's a lot of stats. 516 average. That's crazy. So I think this team is right on track. So anyway, I need to really get moving. Oh, what did I do down here? Pinkin Island Paintergeist. Okay. Yeah, so this is not a great type chart for all the people that are saying type chart is everything, and you're rocking back and forth in your chair. Type chart isn't everything. But I do think that this team, I remember talking to Octo a little bit. The draft didn't exactly go the way he wanted. The identity of this team was kind of changing. I do think he made do. He wanted Smeargle first round, whatever his pick was. I think it was 10 or something, or 11. And Smeargle does everything, literally does everything. It's probably using your Focus Sash most weeks. It can use other items, but probably most weeks is Focus Sash. I see a lot of Focus Sash candidates on this team. I see Monkey Dory, Meowscarada, Delphox, Ninetales maybe, not. It doesn't really need it. Yen Mega. So there's a lot of Focus Sash candidates on this team, but we also kind of fixed it as we went, just as the draft went on. So he got his pieces. So the way the draft went is he got his pieces. Smeargle supports everything. Alchemy decorates literally anything it wants. And the Aroma Veil, because you usually want to taunt a Smeargle, taunt the Spiritomb. Aroma Veil's on the field, you can't taunt. So try to stop the Smeargle now. You can Fake Out, runs Covert Cloak or Terra Ghost. Now how do you stop Smeargle? So, not to mention Smeargle can also decorate. So that's another thing as well. Think of any move in the game that you would hate to face. Smeargle gets it. Enjoy. But I do think this team really saved itself with a little bit of offense later. He saved his high tier picks for later. The Monkey Dory is the first time it's been used in the league so far. 130 special attack with Frisk and Toxic Chain. Those are really good abilities. And the offense and the speed, I think this thing can do really well. Not to mention, it does get Parting Shots to get Fake Out as well. I think so. 1 second. Monkey Dory. Does it? I think it does. Yeah, it does get Fake Out. Thought it did. Yeah, Monkey Dory's a good Pokemon. And its stats are in the right places. You got the Intimidate here to make up for its weakest stat on the defensive side, which does it's the case for a lot of the team as well. The Delphox, the Alchemy, the Ninetales, even though it has the Snow to boost its defense, Yanmega. I do think that this team did round out nicely as the draft went on. Spiritomb is one of the best Trick Room setters in the game. Super bulky, Ghost type, Mental Herb. You're going to have a hard time stopping this thing from setting Trick Room. Delphox also sets it. Meowscarada does set it. They're not great setters, but they do. And then at the end of the draft, he just goes for Glastrier and Ninetales Alola. Yeah, there's your offense. Also, Glastrier has not been drafted or even used a single game in the WPL since, what's it called? Scarlet Violet, whatever the hell game we're playing right now. Scarlet Violet came out. So Terra, this thing was terrifying when we found out this thing could change its type. Like Terra Electric or Terra Fire. Like, you guys already know the reasons why you do those typings. Terra Dragon, Terra Fairy, like Terra Blast. This thing could just, if you want an offensive type, you can do Bolt Beam. Terra Electric, Terra Blast, and then you have your ice coverage, Bolt Beam. There you go. 140 attack, kills one thing, gets the +1. Good luck. You could do Ninetales in the snow. You got your defense boost from the snow. Stay your ice type. Terra Ice, boost your ice attacks. Or even Terra Stellar. Terra Stellar Glastrier doesn't change its type. Keeps the defense boost from the snow. You can run the AV, so now your special defense is even higher. This thing's stats are insanity. I don't know. I was not looking forward to someone using this thing, and it just happens to be Octo. So that's why I rigged the schedule so I don't have to play him. Even though I didn't know he was going to draft this, and I didn't rig the schedule. So this team, I wouldn't rate it very high. Sorry, buddy. I would probably say this is one of the lower teams, the lower rated teams when it comes to a just an overall team. I see what he's trying to do. I also know he likes to draft his friends and things like that. I was trying to get him to grab a different Pokemon in a couple of cases, and I was like, I can't even convince him because, well, I don't want to convince him because I know he wants to have fun. Because the game, it's not all about winning. It's about enjoying yourself, having fun, using things you've never used before. I hear that a lot. People are just like, well, I haven't used it before, and I want to have some fun, so go for it. That's supposed to be fun, right? Even though we're very competitive. So I would rate this team. What rating system have I not used? Thumbs up. I haven't used thumbs up yet. I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up because I can't give any more thumbs. I only have 2, but it's on a scale of 100. But Octo, you have both my thumbs. So it's 100%. No, I think this team is good. I think it can work. Octo was also rated the lowest team last season. Finished first overall in the regular season. What do we know? So there's that. So ratings don't mean everything. These are just little fun videos. So I'm excited to see what he's going to use Smeargle for. The Monkey Dory, first time using it or first time seeing it. Tauros, I think it's the first time being used in Scarlet Violet. So we'll see how that works. Glastrier, same thing. Granbull as well. So yeah, there's an Alchemy. Yeah. Meowscarada hasn't been used in Master Ball, I think, at all. So this team is going to be fun to watch, so we'll see. Not fun to play. Yeah, I already did this one. So now, worst team ever. Yep. Sorry, Kevs. Yep. Next team. No, I actually have a lot of good things to say about this team. The only thing I would change about this team is maybe the Sneasler. That's it. Everything else on the team, I get it. Like, you got Prankster Coaching, you have your Bulk, you have your Upper Hand Weakness Policy Dragonite with Inner Focus, Terra Normal Extreme Speed, you have your Eviolite Torracat with your Parting Shot. Doesn't get Snarl anymore, which is interesting, but it's still very annoying. Intimidate, Rodent Fan has a special place in my heart. Swampert I love to death. Sylveon will be on every team he ever has forever. Goldango, very strong. Does he have Tailwind? When looking, yeah, Dragonite Tailwind. That'd be my only thing, I guess, if I had to be picky. Like, I'm trying to think of the speed control. Trick Room. That's pretty much it. E-Web, Rotom Fan. So you could do some stuff, but I'd probably just say that this team is just really well balanced, very well balanced. It has a lot of stats. Also, Dragonite is just really strong on its own. The utility this thing has is crazy. Hypno, it's his only Trick Room setter on this team, but it's very good. You can't fake it out. It's bulky enough, and it's not going to hit with any damage whatsoever. So it's set in Trick Room, basically. No, but I really, really like this team. The Umbreon being dropped down a tier, I think he hopped right on that. The Riolu coming back with coaching, because even though it's been there, this team could do like defend against weather modes because Riolu gets both weathers, the rain and the sun. Yeah, this team looks very good. Whether or not he can pilot it, that's another thing. I'm waiting for Kevs to show me the true Kevs, but I think this team is very good. So, yep. I don't know what else to say about this team. I see a lot of fun things that you can do on this team. I think the Sneasler, again, I think you could move the Sneasler out for like maybe a little bit more physical the same physical offense, but maybe a little bit different than the Sneasler. I think it was the Trick Room. That's what I was saying earlier. If you can get a Trick Room sweeper on the physical side, this team is laughing. Because now you have the Sylveon. Like last season, he had Sylveon, Blood Moon, Ursaluna. And that was his Trick Room mode. I don't think he had anything else that really did damage in Trick Room. So basically when I played him, it was just, all right, let's just mitigate the special damage in Trick Room. So I went for the Quiver Dance Dancer stuff. Just boosted my special defense. And it worked. So, but I also think that if he has Sylveon, which hits like a truck, and you have something else in Trick Room on the physical side, now you can't just snarl that. You have to prepare for two things. So you'd want something that hits other than the fairy damage, the fire damage, because a lot of the times Terra Fire is the way you go. Maybe something fighting like he has, like a Conkeldurr or something. I think that would make this team incredibly good, because then Riolu works in Trick Room as well with Prankster. Umbreon works in any room it plays in. Dragonite with E-Speed, it works really well as well. Yeah, love this team. I'd probably rate this team just below Great Marsh's team. And obviously mine, so third. You know, I'm number one. Then Great Marsh is number two right now. But this team is incredibly high on my list. I think this team is very, very good. But moving on to the next one, we've got... Did I skip one? Nope. Politoed Belly Drummers. Oh, yeah. This is the mid team. I was saying this team is mid. Sorry, Encore. I see what you're doing. I do see a lot of modes. Like, I do see... The Perish Trap mode's okay. You know, you got Perish Song on a Azumarill. You got your Perish Trap with the Gothorita. Okay. You know, it's no, like, Screamtail. It's no, you know, whatever. It's not the Gothitelle, Screamtail stuff. It's good. You know, it does the job. You got Disquake, Kilowattrel, and then Crocodile. It's okay. You know, Kilowattrel's got, 105 special attack. Crocodile, 117. It's okay. Disquake. You got... See, it's just, where's the offense? That's my thing. So this team needs to set up. You know? You basically... Well, you don't need the belly drum with the Azumarill, but it definitely helps. This thing is probably the only thing that hits on its own. Everything else needs to set up. That's my only thing. I do like some setup on a team. I think this team can go with, say, Tailwind Kilowattrel with Bramblegast. Okay, cool. I think that's really good. It's not Prankster, so it's good. It's not great. It's good. The Trap is not great. It's good. Intimidate User. It's good. It's okay. You know, Electivire, it's his strongest attacker on both sides, special and physical. 123, it's not great. It's good. You know? I do see a little bit of things with the Kilowattrel and the Motor Drive. So you could do something like the Discharge next to the Electivire. And then you can just kind of go off. So I can see this as a strong lead. Yeah, like this team is just very okay. Like this is the okayest team I've ever seen, you know? Which also means that you don't know what's coming. Like this team every week can bring any of these 11. So there is value in that. I just don't see a lot of natural offense on this team. I see a lot of annoying. The longer this game goes, I think you have to beat this team in 4 or 5 turns. Excuse me. If it if it goes like 11 turns or 8 turns or whatever, 9 turns, I think he's probably going to beat you, especially with the Gudra here. But yeah, this team's okay. Like, I don't think it's great. Probably right in the middle. Like, I don't think it's bad. Like, that's the thing. Like, I don't think this team's great, but I don't think it's bad either. You know? So, it's got everything you need, all the pieces. You know, it's okay. Sorry, Encore. didn't mean to, like, rip into you or anything, but yeah, this is the okayest team I see. Oh, yeah. This is a very strong team. I have a lot to say about all these teams, but who needs a type chart when you've got Fluttermane, Great Tusk, Chi-Yu, Illumise, Glamora? Sneasel's really good. Fake Out Inner Focus is incredible because you can fake out other fake out users and they can't fake you out. Very good. The Illumise at the end of the draft that he grabbed just really rounded this team out. You got like Great Tusk, Fluttermane, Glamora. He ended up grabbing Chi-Yu, Skarmory, this and that. And right, I think it was like pick 9, 10, or 11, one of the last 3. He's just like, yeah, Illumise. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I really wish he didn't do that. Illumise Chi-Yu, I think, is incredible. I think Chi-Yu next to Fluttermane is incredible. Chi-Yu next to Glamora is incredible. Chi-Yu next to Espathra, my goodness. Yeah. Lumina Crash with Chi-Yu's any damage. Like late game Chi-Yu, so Espathra comes out, you know, starts dropping some stats, whatever. Chi-Yu comes in with a scarf and just starts blowing things up. Fun times. Yep. I was also saying earlier as well, this team does not have a lot of physical offense at all. It's got, when your second best physical attacker's Flygon, you know you don't have a very physical team. But it's so strong on the special side, you really have to focus on this. Like Light Screen, Snarl, you have to kill it before it kills you. You have to worry about those specific Pokemon. Great Tusk is sitting right here. 131 on the attacking side. This thing hits so hard. You're not going to bring Intimidate against this team. You're just not. Like, why? For what, one Pokemon? Like, you might bring Will-O-Wisp on a Pokemon, whatever it is. Even so, you're bringing Will-O-Wisp for Great Tusk and Iron Defense Body Press Skarmory. Flygon, sure. You know what I mean? You're bringing Will-O-Wisp, but if you don't have Intimidate, Great Tusk doesn't have to run the Clear Amulet. You know, it can go for, like, Life Orb. It can go for Choice Scarf, Choice Band, things like that. Yeah, I just think Great Tusk is in a great place to do well. You even have Redirection with the Electabuzz as well. So I see Fake Out, I see Snarl, I see Icy Wind, I see Prankster Tailwind, other Prankster stuff from Illumise, I see Weather, I see Natural Offense, I see not a lot of stall. I don't think you're going to stall too much with Glamora, but Glamora Rock Offense is just really strong. And Fluttermane's just sitting right there, the most used Pokemon in VGC next to Incineroar, but what do I know? So I would rate this team, screw it, number 1. I think it's the best team. Sorry, Grant Marsh, step aside. But yeah, Noah, that's actually the second season in a row. I think Noah was rated the number 1 team last season with his full physical team, but he had like a lot of really nice offense on that team. It was really difficult to deal with. But yeah, this team, and again, like drafted a fantastic team. So maybe get your advice from Noah in future seasons if you want draft help. Just DM him, I don't know, when he's sleeping. Yeah, do that. Yes, my cat is here and being very annoying. Ways to beat this team: set Trick Room if you can. Best of luck. He does have Fake Out, and he has a ton of offense. So, and I do see a little in person with Grumpig and Espathra and stuff like that. So, and Fluttermane. So, but again, if you want to set Trick Room up, good luck. Yeah, best of luck. That's all I have to say. Texas Landsharks, welcome back, by the way. Thank you for coming back. I think you were missed by everybody. Best start to the draft, I think, out of everybody. Not saying he screwed it up or anything later in the draft. It's just when you go for Ogerpon Wellspring and you go for Gouging Fire and Tornadus Therian, 1, 2, 3, your first 3 rounds, you're set up for success. It kind of puts the draft on easy mode. So Ogerpon Wellspring right now is the most used. I think it's the most used Pokemon in VGC right now. I think it was rated the highest. I could be wrong, but it's almost on every single team. Like whenever you're building a team for VGC, everybody always says, how are you beating Ogerpon? How are you stopping Ogerpon? How are you getting around Ogerpon? So a very, very good Pokemon. Follow me, very good support, hits really hard, water type. Every team probably needs one. But yeah, so very strong everything. Gardevoir is, one of WPL's favorites. Persian Kanto won a championship, I think 2. Donphan usually finds its way on almost every team. 120 offense on the physical side. Ground is great offensively. Gouging Fire, you got the Howl stuff. Hariyama. Cloyster, okay. It doesn't been used a lot, but defensive wall, it's got its place. Tier 5, you can't really go wrong. Overcoat to deal with the Rage Powder stuff and potentially Spore. Skill Link, this thing could do a lot of damage with Choice Band. So I can see something like maybe Tailwind with like Icicle Spear, Rock Blast, things like that with a Choice Band, I think would hit really hard. And then you have the Bronzor and the Slowking and the Gardevoir for setting up Trick Room. So I do see a Trick Room mode. I do see a fast mode. I do see bulk. I think this team is very good. Like, it doesn't look the greatest on paper, like you're looking at it. But I do think this team is very good. It has a bunch of different ways to use it and play it. So it's going to be tough to prep against. Like, it's not just obvious modes. Like, this team is... I'm just looking at the 11 here, and there's a lot of ways you can play this. So you don't really know what's coming. So good for him. Yeah, even on the special side, you've got the Tornadus and the Gardevoir. I think I was asking earlier, and the Slowking. Is that enough special offense? Maybe. Gardevoir hits so many different ways. So, yeah, I think this team is really good. Not the best, but really good. Like, I think he did a very good job in his draft. So I'd probably say, out of the 16 teams, let's say top 5 so far. I think this is a very good team. Mabostiff dropped it to tier 4 this season. Picked it up. I think it's got 3 abilities. Stakeout is very underknown. Not many people know about it. But double damage on switch-ins. It's a lot of damage from Stab Dark. Very strong. Stops the Intimidate a little bit. With the this team is very intimidatable if you think about it. Like Hariyama, Cloyster, Mabostiff is the only thing that really doesn't want to get, or you don't want to intimidate, just in case it has Guard Dog, giving it a +1 attack boost. But Donphan, Ogerpon, yeah, you want to bring Intimidate against this thing. So I can see him bringing Guard Dog more than Intimidate. Because Intimidate sometimes burns you with the Mirror Herb. A lot of guys when they have like. Yeah, so if he's gonna running Guard Dog, you intimidate them, and then you get the +1. So you'll have to see how it kind of goes. I don't really know where I was going there, but yeah, you can intimidate this team. But on the special side, it hits hard enough. Like, I think Gardevoir hits really hard. Tornadus can hit really hard, and where's the other one? Slowking. Yeah, in Trick Room, this thing is bulky enough. It's gonna get at least a few hits off on you. So, nice job. I think this is a very good team, especially your first season back. So good on you. Shadow. All right. Bruh. I think. Okay. I don't know where to start with this right now. This is not a bad team. I think this team is very good. Like, if you wanted to pick 6 to go into a match on this team, and you're like, okay, I'm going to bring Arcanine Hisui, Hydreigon, Ogerpon, and I'm going to bring Blastoise, and I'm going to bring Thundurus. 6 Pokemon. Very good 6. I see some anti-synergy. Arcanine, Hisui, and Politoed don't usually go together, let alone a Golem. Why? Shadow, why? I hope you're laughing at this video right now. I don't get it. You better, if you don't drop this thing before the start of the season, bro. Come on. Oh, look, now it's just taking over Sneasel. Unbelievable. I don't get it. I was saying when I was going over these teams earlier, I think Heracross looks really good on this team. I think Heracross can go off. It hits differently than the other things on this team. Again, you don't really want to bring Intimidate to this team, against this team, because of the Ogerpon. So I think that, and you don't want to burn it, so no Intimidate, no burn, like, I guess Charm and Baby Doll Eyes and stuff like that, like lesser used moves to lower its attack. I think this thing could do very well. It has the Tailwind from the Hydreigon, and the Rabami, not to mention. So, but 2 bug types on a lead. Heat Wave says hi. But I do think that Heracross looks really good as like a low-key good Pokemon on the team. The rain mode looks fantastic, actually. I know you kind of stumbled into the rain mode as the draft went on. You kind of changed kind of where you're going with it. But Politoed, Ogerpon, Blastoise with Water Spout, and Thundurus Therian, incredible. Incredible rain team. You know? So, yeah, I think this team has some modes. You might pretty much have 2 teams on this 11. You bring one that's the non-rain mode that goes together, and then you have the rain, but the rain has to kind of go a certain way. I think the Golem's got to go. Sorry. The Sneasel's a nice pick. Porygon's not a bad pick. You don't really have a Trick Room mode, unfortunately. And you can't really stop Trick Room with it. So I think in Tier 4 you can go for some like an Imprisoned Trick Room user, like a better one. But I don't think this team wants to set Trick Room. Not really. Like Golem, that's probably what you're going for, and then realize, oh crap, I'm doubling up on a Quad Water weakness. But yeah, like I don't even know if there's a recommended move that I would go for. Like, I know it's not popular, but the Hydreigon can go maybe. And then you go for a Trick Room Sweeper or something. The only reason I'm saying that is in that tier is because it's pretty impactful. You can get a really good one in Tier 2, so that might be my thing. But I think Hydreigon's incredible as well for Tier 2 as well. It does a lot of different things and hits really hard. But offensively, I think your team's great. Like, look at all the offense you have. You have Ogerpon at 120. You have Thundurus at 145. Hydreigon at 125. Arcanine Hisui just hits hard on its own. Usually it's banded. Heracross at 125. You have, Rain Boosted Politoed. You have the Golem, which is better be going, at 120. So this team just does damage on its own. So you don't need to set up on this. Like, Shell Smash Blastoise is a thing, but you don't really need it. But Blastoise next to Ogerpon, they have to worry about Shell Smash Follow Me. You have to worry about Fake Out Bonk. You have to, I think that's a good lead as well. So I think this team's okay. This team doesn't really have an identity. It kind of has maybe 2 teams. I think this is 2 teams of 5 and 6, not a team of 11. So in that scenario, or that, like calling it that and dubbing it that, I'd probably say it's one of the worst teams we've done so far. But I do like the 2 teams on their own. I do. If you said his draft started with those 6, Arcanine, Hydreigon, Thundurus, Blastoise, Ogerpon, and say Ribombee or something like that, I'd say, yes, keep going. This team's incredible. And also, if you went Politoed, Ogerpon, Blastoise, Thundurus, Hydreigon, yeah, great start, But then it just kind of, you built another team within your team. So that would be my opinion. I could be wrong. I probably am wrong. I don't really care. So anyway, drop the Golem. Anyway, next team. Linty. How many teams we got left? We almost done? 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, 4 teams. We are doing all right. Linty's team. Welcome to Masterball, by the way. I don't want to face this team. Yeah, I don't think anybody should. I don't want to face this team at all. Look at how annoying this is. I'll wait. Porygon 2. Very annoying to face. Rotom Heat. One of the best defensive Pokemon in the game, type-wise, and ability. Vivillon with Friend Guard and Sleep. 97% accurate sleep powder with the compound eyes. Miss Magius doing its ghostiness with all of its fun stuff. Pheasantipede, same thing. Reuniclus, same thing. You've got there might be a little bit of lack of offense on this team, naturally. Like, you do have the Mamoswine, which is nice. You do have some ways of hitting hard. But I just think this team's just going to grind you out. Like, yeah. This is a commitment, by the way. Drafting this team. This is a commitment. When you draft a team like this, you are committing to play a very annoying game, and you are not going to get a handshake after these games. Like, you play like a well-fought game. Game 3, everything was really close. You go to extend your hand. Hey, good game, man. It was a lot of fun. Guy throws his drink in your face and walks away. Yeah, so I don't think I have to face this team, thank God. It's nice when you make the schedule. I didn't do it on purpose. But yeah, I think he's dropping the Reuniclus. I won't say what for, but I think the team is going to be a little bit better. All said and done. This team will have its natural offense. It's going to be really annoying to face. You don't know what's coming. He was really creative with his Screamtail last season and won an Ultra Ball championship. Definitely earned his place in Masterball. And I think he's actually one of the favorites to win it this season. We'll have to see how it plays. Like, obviously, it's just games on paper right now. You kind of look at the 11 that he has, and you hope for the best. But I saw him play last season, and he played Screamtail, played it well. And I could see a lot of fun stuff on this team. Maybe P2's the new Screamtail. Maybe Miss Meg is the new Screamtail. Maybe Vivian. I can see Pheasantipity being the new Screamtail, but who knows? But yeah, I would give this team... If it had more offense, I'd say sure. More natural offense. I know it's getting some after the transactions are all said and done. But as of right now, your Trick Room Sweeper is Appleton. I could be critical about this team, and I probably will just for now. This team is going to be really annoying. I don't think that leads to wins, unfortunately. I can see someone like Kev's drafting this team and just being a pain in the ass to face every single week. But this team might not result in wins. That's the thing. It's going to be really annoying, and I think you can grind out players and kind of get an advantage, but we'll have to see how it goes. So let's see how the transactions go. But I would give this team I don't know. Let's just say it's good. I'm getting tired. But 16 teams is a lot. Who allowed this many in the game? I don't know. Above average. Let's just say above average. I think this team alone is above average as a whole. It's got fake out. It's not great. It's got bulk. It's not great, like some of them. But there's a lot of tech on this team. Like Pheasantipity, Appleton, Toxicroak, Miss Mag, Vivian, Porygon 2. There's a lot of tech on this team. So he's got Tailwind, Pheasantipity. So, yeah. He's got his fast mode, his slow mode. Good ways of setting it up. Let's see how the games go. But, yeah, this team, I'm not really sure how it's going to go. We'll have to see. Let's see. Kyogre Canucks. When your fastest Pokemon is your Trick Room setter. I don't know if that was on purpose. I know he said he wanted to go for bulky this season and mission accomplished. But this team has a couple of okay Tailwind setters. You've got your Lumineon and your Articuno. This team goes Trick Room. If this team goes Trick Room, you're in trouble. If you can stop it from going up, he's in trouble. This team does have a lot of bulk, though. So, like, Tinglu does not need Trick Room. Doesn't need it. Incineroar doesn't need Trick Room. Lurantis doesn't necessarily need Trick Room. Fungus doesn't necessarily need Trick Room. Knucklestack doesn't necessarily need Trick Room. But they all do better in Trick Room. This team can snowball. I think you have to beat this team quickly. Really hard to do when it's super bulky. And with it's very pivoty, I can see as well. Like with Fungus, Incineroar, Tinglu, this team wants to switch in and out. And also the screens as well. So, yeah, I can see this team just being a big pain to face. But I think step one, stop Trick Room from going up. Octo had a team like this last season. But the Como just does really well. This team is just really annoying. Like, Terraflying. That's what... Go Terraflying this against this team. That's what I would do. Like Tinglu with the fissures and stuff. Riley's not a big fissure guy, so I wouldn't say he's going to do it all the time. But flying good looks good offensively and defensively into this team. So that's probably what I would do. Lumineon, look at it. That's just a good tier 5 pick. And Grievard, I don't get it. Like, he's got one fighting weakness, I'm pretty sure. Oh, 3. Hold on. Knucklestack, Tinglu. Yeah, I like switching Ghost next to Tinglu, sure. I don't think it gets Will-O-Wisp. I think it gets Charm. It doesn't. It gets Snarl. I know the evolution, the Houndstone. Will-O-Wisp, Snarl is a pain. But this thing doesn't get Will-O-Wisp. So, but Charm is still really good as well. Ally Switch as a Ghost, very good as well. Shadow Sneak, I can see activating the policy on a couple of things. And Fluffy, like, if you don't have a fire move on this thing's going to have Eviolite and double H and half damage from physical moves. I can see this being a pain. Fungus with Spore, Knuckle Stack with the Salt Cure, Yuxi with the Mystic Power, things like that I was talking about earlier in the video, and Como-O with the Omni Boost from the Clanging Scales, or Clangorous Scales. And it has Incineroar. Yep, he did it. Everybody hate him. It's Incineroar. So, lame. But I also know that he didn't want to go Incineroar. He wanted to go, I think, Iron Hands and Farigiraf. But, so he did get sniped in the first round a couple of times, so he just kind of went, well, throw your hands up in the air, and you just go, fine, Incineroar, move on, and built around it. I don't know if this is what he wanted in the end, but this is a very un-Riley team, though, I would say. So, I think he's going to find out if he wanted to go for a bulky team because he wanted to practice it, and I respect that a lot. And he did get a very bulky team. I think the team's missing some pieces. I might be eating my words come playoff time once again. He also had a very good team last season too. So, but this team, I don't know. He might need to make some transactions, but I think he doesn't have a fast mode. He just doesn't. I think you probably need both sides unless it's really strong on one side. We did have kind of a one-dimensional side on the speed tier when it came to Trick Room with the number 1 seed last season. But that's also not super common to have only one side and just do really well. So we'll have to see how it goes. I love Riley. He's the co-owner of the league, so I can't really say much about him. But he's also not the video editor, so I can say whatever I want. So, yeah, fix your damn team, bro. Anyway, I see what you're doing here, and I don't like it. Cut it out. Anyway, next team, Space City. I always love Space's teams. He always drafts a lot of very, very good teams, if not one of the best drafters. He always ends up with very strong teams, and this is no exception. Roaring Moon, Suicune, Clefable, Serena, Slowbro's pretty good too. Heatran is really strong, Zapdos, Galar, and he got my boy Pikachu. Well, not my boy, more so his boy. I like this team. Heatran's his only special attacker next to Slowbro, but 100 isn't really anything to write home about. But is that enough? Maybe. Maybe. I think Clefable's sneaky good with the Magic Guard and Life Orb and not getting the recoil, the recoil from the Life Orb. So I do think Clefable can hit completely different than the Heatran as well, and Moonblast is just borked. So this team is very physical. You don't want to intimidate it because you have the Zapdos Galar. You don't really want to snarl it, so how do you kind of stop the Heatran? You switch in the Zapdos. Switches in really well. Switches in on the fighting, switches in on the ground, and then Zapdos switches in on both of those. So you could switch in on a Snarl and or those super effective moves, and it's safe. So I think Zapdos is really good to go with Heatran. Yeah, I think this is a great team. He always drafts really good teams. He's got the Serena as well, so you can't fake it out. The Roaring Moon's interesting. You do have a few different Tailwind setters on the team. So you got your Suicune, the Roaring Moon, and the Zapdos. It does alleviate some of the Tailwind pressure off of Zapdos, so it doesn't have to set it. Suicune's a bulky Tailwind setter, and Roaring Moon's a fast Tailwind setter. So you have a couple of different ways you can go about it. And again, the same thing. You don't have to set Tailwind with Roaring Moon. You could just go full offense, and then the Suicune could set it, later in the turn. Protect Tailwind. Next turn, now you go off. You got the redirection, the fake out. Again, just a very good team. He always drafts very good teams and pilots them really well too. So might be lacking a little bit on the Trick Room side, but I don't think he necessarily needs it. Like you have your Slowbro Galar, but again, 100 offense isn't exactly much to write home about. But yeah, I would say that Slowbro it's more of a way of stopping Trick Room. Like I think Space doesn't usually go Trick Room a lot. I think he usually kind of goes fast and hard. And he's got a star, so he's won a championship doing it. So, but anyway, so moving on from Space's team, I would say this team is rated above average. I'd say it's maybe again top 5, top 6, top 7, something like that. And yeah, run with that. Last team though, I would say a lot of people are really afraid of this team. You see the Torkoal, Lilligant, and the Walking Wake, and the Screamtail. That is sun. You also see terrain with the Pincurchin, the Drifblim, and you see the Iron Treads as well, so activates the Quark Drive. So you activate both of the Paradoxmon's abilities, so you have your Electric Terrain and your Sun. And he's got 2 Paradox Mons, 3, including the Walking Wake. And you kind of go from there. So this team is really hard to beat because you have a lot of really good, strong modes right off the bat. Like, how do you beat Torkoal? You usually set the rain, right? Well, Walking Wake is not fun to deal with in the rain. Neither is Dreadnought. So change the weather at your own risk. I would say if you had to find a weakness on this team, it's probably in Trick Room. I know it's really bold to say that with a Torkoal, but if your Trick Room sweeper can kind of get around the Torkoal in Trick Room, which is hard to do, I think this team loses in Trick Room. Pincurchin isn't exactly the strongest Pokemon in Trick Room, but I do think like when you got like Screamtail, you've got Walking Wake, Iron Treads, Lilligant, you've got the Drift Blim, things like that. He has ways of stopping Trick Room from going up, which he has to definitely not worry about, but consider when he's building his offense on his team. Like, how does my team lose? Well, I want to make sure Torkoal's enabled to beat his Trick Room mode. So you do have to. I think this team excels in fast mode, but it can function really well in Trick Room as well. So this is going to be a tough team to prep with. I think it's very strong, but I also think that if you guess wrong, like safety goggles against with the Lilligant, game 1, you don't know what items they have. You don't know if they're going to Terra away from your fire moves or your fire damage. You don't know if they have safety goggles. You don't know if they're, well, you can't Terra Grass in front of a Lilligant Torkoal. But also after you, like they could lead wide guard, so do you erupt? The problem with playing Torkoal Lilligant is there's a lot of uncertainty. I think it's very strong, but in a draft league setting, like you see those two on the field. I ran into it at NAIC twice. It wasn't fun. I lost to it twice because my team wasn't exactly. I think it was, what was it? I think it was Psy Spam with Sun. The guy set Trick Room and I just lost. So I wasn't ready for it because I was ready for other stuff. But if you know Torkoal Lilligant is coming, I'm not saying it's easy to plan for. It's just easier. Like there's a Terra type, there's an item, there's like you can fake it out, but then he might have the Covert Cloak. So there's a lot of like uncertainty playing this team. And not to mention if you go for the Sleep Powder with the Chlorophyll, it's there's always a 1 in 4 chance you miss your Sleep Powder and you might lose the game in a turn. So after you Eruption, if they wide guard, you just wasted a turn. So there's a lot of things that can kind of go wrong when you play like that. But back row, maybe a game 2, once you find out where the items are and the moves, this combo goes off, I think. Like open team sheet, you know how to beat when it comes to these two. You beat the other side. Screamtail is incredibly strong as well. I think Torkoal Screamtail could be really good as well. I think running like Eject Pack or Eject Button or something like that on Torkoal as well. Set the Sun, get out of there. And then now you have your Screamtail come in. You have your Lilligant come in. You've got your Walking Way come in. It could do really well. And then late game Torkoal Sweep just goes off really well. I love Drift Blim personally. If you activate a weakness policy on this thing with Unburden, this thing hits so hard. It literally won me a round in the playoffs last season, the season before last. But yeah, so Drift Blim I think is just really good. You don't really know what you're going to get because even flare boosted Flame Orb Drift Blim is really strong as well. So this team does a lot of things. I didn't even get into the Ice Cube. You even have redirection with Belly Drum. So this team can do a lot of different things. Crizzle's a very creative player. So I think that if Crizzle doesn't go vanilla with this team, I think it can do very well. Because like now you're prepping against vanilla. Like, so if I'm facing this team, I'm like, okay, I got to be able to deal with Torkoal Lilligant. I need to deal with Pincurchin Drift Blim. I need to be able to deal with Pincurchin Iron Treads. I need to deal with Torkoal Walking Wake. I have to do all these things. And he's just like, well, I'm going to throw a Furret, Follow Me, Belly Drum, Ice Cube. Well, the way of stopping that is much different than the other things. So if he can catch you off guard, I think you're in a little bit of trouble, but also not bringing your best modes is scary as well. So I'm saying a whole lot of words without actually saying anything. So I'm going to say this team on paper, very strong. In reality, playing this team, very difficult. So I would say this team 10 out of 10 in difficulty on how to play it. especially in the Masterball division, where guys they kind of know creative ways to figure their way out of trouble. It's very difficult to kind of roll over guys with team. In Ultra Ball, I think this team slaps 8-0. Like, not because like they can't, like, people in Ultra Ball, they're just not as seasoned. They like finding creative ways to get around common strategies. It's more difficult because they're in Ultra Ball to kind of, it's a learning division. They're trying to figure things out as they go sometimes. Some of them just haven't gotten over the hump, right? Some of them are Master Ball players. They just haven't won yet. You know, they've gotten screwed in the playoffs or something like that. And they're just waiting to get their promotion, which is fine too. But I do think that a lot of strong vanilla strats like Lilligant Torkoal would go off in Ultra Ball. And Master Ball, it's a little tougher. So you got to really play around it. So all of that to say, this team is very, very good. I would say that this team, it has a lot of pieces. I don't see Fake Out on the team, I don't think. But your Trick Room Setters, Screamtail, and Driftblim, I guess. So there's not a lot of versatility when it comes to like modes, like fast and slow. But this team could just hit so hard and so fast. Like this team wins in 3 turns. This team wins fast. Like these games are over quick, I would say. Like Weakness Policy Driftblim, you've got your Torkoal Lilligant. Screamtail could just be a pain in the ass. But also Walking Wake hits so hard in the sun or the rain. Iron Treads with the Quark Drive stuff does really well as well. Belly Drum. Those are quick game strats. 4 turns or less. Game's over. So, anywho, that is it. All 16 teams. I hope I didn't miss any. If I did, I'm sorry. If you hate my comments, I don't care. I say all of these things in love. I think everyone's having a good time. I think that the whole idea, I just hope that people get this out of this. I hope that people see this and say, Jay's crazy. Or take it constructively and say, you know what? Some of the stuff he said was stupid, but some of the stuff he said it made sense. I never thought of it like that. There were a lot of words spoken in this video. I might retract some of them. I might feel differently tomorrow. I don't know. I don't really care. But again, this is supposed to be fun. I think I said something nice about everyone's team, at least something. So take the good, take the bad as constructive. There's nothing wrong with my team. And if you say otherwise, you're wrong, objectively wrong. No, my team's not perfect. I like my team, but also if somebody made a video about my team, they might be saying things that they think I'm missing, and I think they're stupid. But that's the whole thing. I have a microphone. You don't. You're watching this video. So don't watch this video anymore. Don't hit like. I'm not a YouTuber. So you can subscribe because whatever, if I make a video and you didn't know I posted it, whatever. I don't care. Best of luck to all my opponents. If I'm playing you that week, don't win, I guess. I don't know. It's a video, so I want to be careful with my words. Why are you still watching this video? Bye.